Hiya guys, how we doing? It's Friday night. Excelsior from Lidl. It's a big can, 500 millilitres, 4% volume, but it's not as nice as Bud Light. Ah, you saying? Anyway, thanks for tuning in. This is a video basically all about the sorting of the parts, cleaning of the parts, rumbling of the parts and everything from checking the parts, sorting the parts, rumbling the parts and then resorting the parts again. So this is all about that with from the model Factory Hiro. I keep thinking models for heroes. Model Factory Hiro Lancia 037 in 12 scale. It's beautiful, beautiful kit. I really love it. And all the parts are rumbled now. I'm doing this after the video. And I thought I'd put this out as a premiere. It's not going to be an ongoing thing. This isn't going to be like a weekly, monthly, whatever premiere on this kit. I just thought I'd put this out as a premiere, and then if you guys want to ask questions in the comments in the column down on the right hand side, then you can. And if you miss the premiere, then you can ask questions in the comments below. You can also raise any points, make any points, any suggestions, whatever. So yeah, I've never had one of these kits before. There are a lot of people that have them, and it would appear that the people that do have them don't do anything else, or pretty much don't do anything else. There's modeling car modeling tube. I can't remember the name. I'll put a link below. There's his site, is brilliant. Does the builds of the Model Factory Hiro kits. There's also, you've got Defender John. He builds some, and there's various other ones as well. So it's nice to see there's lots of people out there doing video builds of them. Well, not so much. The car modeling tube guy, you see every single piece, stage by stage, every single bit. Other people tend to sort of do one or two 20-minute, half-hour videos, and they sort of go from all the bits on the bench to the finished model in sort of photographic stages. So you'll see all the parts of the engine laid out, and then you'll see a finished engine, and there's generally music in the background. There's a few words as well. So if some people like that sort of thing. Some people think I talk too much. Some love to hear me waffle on all night long. So you know, it's horses for courses. There's many people out there with a lot of different opinions. So there we go. So that's what this video is about, and that's why I'm doing it as a premiere. So enjoy. There are some photographs at the end with some befores and afters, before and after the polishing. And the only reason I'm doing this is because people ask to see it. Not the sorting bit, but they ask to see the tumbling. So as I say, any questions, pop in the right hand side and or down below, and I'll answer them as good as I can. Enjoy. Hey guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we've got a video today regarding this Model Factory Hiro Lancia 037 that I reviewed the other day. Just basically going through for people that might be thinking about getting one of these. You're an experienced modeler, but you've never done anything like this. That's where I am. I've never done anything like this either. And there is a guy, there's a channel called Car Modeling Tube, and there is a guy that literally puts these together. He does a video every single day, and he seems to build like 99% of his builds are these 12 scale full detail kits. Go take a look at his channel. Make sure you look at his playlist, because he has every build recorded in a playlist. It's amazing. Really well worth watching. So I'm just basically copying what he does, and the first thing he does with his parts, he sorts them, and then he puts them through a magnetic tumbler. So I asked him, you know, where do I get one? And he said, search Google cheap Chinese tumbler, magnetic tumbler. And sure enough, I did. I found a tumbler, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Exactly the same thing. I think it's a KT185 or something. It sounds like an old scrambler, doesn't it? Basically, it's a magnetic tumbler. It's got magnets inside it. It has magnetic stainless steel pins. You put water in there, and the pins get pulled around by the magnet and get dragged over the parts and basically clean them up. And if you go and see his videos, you'll see the difference, or you can stay and watch this video and see the difference here. What I don't know is if all the parts go in together. I'm going to probably do it in 2 batches, I think. But basically, the first thing he does is checks all the parts. So these are all the white metal parts. If you haven't seen the review, go take a look. These all come in little separate Ziploc bags, and you basically get them all out. And all I did was got everything out, put it all into a tray and into another couple of trays, and then basically went through and checked with the instructions. I've done a print of the instructions so that I could write all over them and get them dirty, because the genuine instructions really are lovely. And then basically just go through step by step and as you find the parts, like for instance, that's handy, this part here, number M70 is that, I think, underneath the red, that part there, take it out of the tray, put it into a plastic box, tick it off, and so on, and go all the way through the manual. When it comes to the tiny little parts, there you will find you've got tiny little parts like this, say, on little sprues. What I did is put them to one side, and then if you're going through a stage and say you're only using one of these, then I put a mark on there to say one is accounted for, and then go through. And then I realised that this part here on the end, this shaft, is actually used on the E or F version, not on the D version that I've got. So then they could go in the box. And then like with these, you know, you can see I've got 2 accounted for. The rest are obviously just spares or used somewhere else and I've missed them. So as long as you've got more parts than the instructions are saying, you're absolutely fine. If, for instance, with this part here, if you cannot find it, get in touch with Model Factory Hiro or your supplier or whatever, and I'm sure they will sort you out. So that's what I've done, is gone through there and just marked off every part. Any part that is actually made of metal has a prefix M. Anything that is made of photo etch here has a prefix E. Anything that is resin, plastic, it is resin, but you might think of it as plastic, has a prefix R. And then anything that's like, you know, damper springs, which are called up, and then you've got wires and cables. Like down here, it's calling up nickel silver wire, 0.5 length, 21mm, and then you bend it to that shape. Here you've got heat shrink tubing called up. So anything that's like, you know, multimedia is called up by its name. It doesn't necessarily have a part number. So you just go through and just mark everything off as you go. So that's all of that. Now when it comes to the finer parts, the resin parts aren't actually listed, so you've got to go through the instructions and make sure you've got your resin parts as well. But all the finer parts, like you've got your turned wheels, so turn parts here, you've got the wheels, antenna base and the headlight rims, and you've got a box here, and you can basically just tick them off as you find them. Amazingly, this really shocked me. This is just pure, this is Japanese. The Japanese are so accurate about everything they do, and everything they do they take pride in. And you know, 1.4 by 3mm screw, can you imagine? It's absolutely tiny. It's 1.4mm diameter, 3mm long, and it says here there's 66, and there are exactly 66 in the bag. You've got the 2mm by 6, it says 14. There are 14. You don't get 15 or 20. You don't get 68 or 70. Nope, you get 66 and 14. You get the actual number that they say in here. So come all the way down through. The only thing is that I got confused about, if you have got this kit, it says down here, Photo H plate, version D and F gets 4 and version E gets 3. Okay, I've only got 3 in this kit, but there is nowhere in the model I can see that I need photo etch that I haven't got. If I discover I've got a sheet missing, I can get in touch with Model Factory Hiro and I'm sure they'll sort me out. But I don't, it seems that the 2 sheets, one goes up to, I think it's 47 or something, and then the other one takes up from 60. But there's nothing in here which is between 47 and 60. So I'm really not worried about it at all. But as I say, if I do discover there is a sheet missing, there may be a tiny photo etch sheet somewhere, I don't know. But for some reason it's saying there's 4 and I've only got 3. It may be that there used to be 2 smaller sheets, because there is one now which is quite narrow and long. So it could be that. Adhesive tape and everything. There was nothing else here that was confusing. No. And obviously, as you go through, you will miss parts, and you'll be left with a couple of parts. You think, oh, I've got some spares, and believe it or not, you do. I mean, I'll show you what I missed. I had this great big piece left over, and I went through these instructions for about half an hour before I found it. I missed that. Now that is a great big piece. Here it is. I found all the little nuts and bolts and everything, and I missed that. So anyway, so that's basically what I've done. Print off the instructions, sellotape the sheets together to make a little book, and then just go in and check everything through and make sure you've got everything. And then if you know you've got everything, if everything on here is in your kit and you've got all the white metal parts, then you're good to go. If you haven't, email these guys and I'm sure they will sort you out. I'll bet their customer service is impeccable. So and by the way, I'm going to say this on every video, if anyone out there has got an MFH 1/12 Lancia Delta S4 they want to sell, let me know. Right, so next thing we've got to do is go look at this magnetic tumbler, and this is going to be as new to me as it is to you. So we'll go and see. Oh, by the way, I've done a quick parts count up. Basically, we have roughly, to the nearest sort of 5 or 10, 453 metal parts. We have 27 resin parts, and we have 243 of these various screws and bits and pieces and stuff. So in fact there's more than that, because we got like nickel silver wires down as one. Oh no, sorry. So yeah, it's roughly 723 parts go into this kit. So although it may look a little simple because you haven't got sprues and stuff, but I mean there's 453 parts, and you can imagine if these were plastic and all laid out on sprues, they would take up quite a lot of room. Right, here we are now. You're joining me in the utility room, and it's a sunny Friday morning, and here you can see that we've got on the draining board, we've got some parts laid out. In the background here, this is where I do all my paint stripping and stuff. This is where this alcohol I use. I get this from Amazon. This stuff is amazing. MG Chemicals. It's fantastic for stripping acrylic paint. It takes off lacquer paints as well. If you get the cheaper stuff, if you remember, I said about I tried some cheaper alcohol. This one here, okay, this is it's the same. It's 99.9%, but it's not anything like as good as that's the stuff there. So don't bother with that. So anyway, what we've got here are our white metal parts for the Lancia 037. In the background here we've got some Tamiya. In there we've got some Tamiya paint jars in the alcohol, just giving them a final clean. So here we've got parts that have been done. So you can see we've got quite a nice finish to them. They've got quite a nice shine to them. And these have been the parts I've been experimenting on. Boy oh boy, there's a lot of experimenting to do, and I'll go through what I've done and the sort of do's and don't do's. Really, it's very simple. Here I've got these are the white metal parts that aren't actually done yet, so you can see the finish on them. You've got this kind of white, and that's why it's called white metal, although Steve mentioned he thinks this is probably pewter, but it's kind of a white metal finish, and what we're trying to do is get rid of that. I call it a scaly finish. It's not scaly, but it's what I call it just because I don't have the intelligence to think of anything else. But if you look here, I mean, I'll do a quick comparison. You can see here, you know, the one on the right has gone through the rumbler and the one on the left hasn't. So the one on the left has got that sort of white finish to it. What I'll do, I'll get the sun off. I'll put some photographs up at the end of before and after, because what I've done, I've purposely done like 2 of the wheels, 2 of discs, and left bits behind, so I'll do some nice photographs so you can see a side-to-side comparison, and then decide if you think this is actually necessary or not. I've seen that, but basically if you look around on YouTube, you've got Car Modeler Tube. He uses one of these magnetic tumblers, and then you've got like Defender John, and he soaks his parts in vinegar. So obviously they do need cleaning. There's something that has to be removed. So that's what I'm doing, and I got one of these, and this is it here. This is the KT185 magnetic tumbler, and it's brilliant. You can see all it's got on the top is there's some stainless steel pins in there, and they're absolutely tiny. They're really fine, and you can see that underneath we actually have there's 4 magnets obviously that are attached to a motor, and they go round. So basically what's happening is you're putting your white metal parts into here, and then those pins are being dragged around and sort of blasting it, if you like, with pins. And down here we've got Jess to join in. Jess, what are we doing? You good girl? Yeah? Good morning. How you doing? Tail's down, I see. What's the matter? You don't got a happy tail today? Where's that happy tail? You don't got a happy tail? Oh dear. She's obviously not feeling too good. Oh, she's I know what she's after. Treats. Let's give her a treat. See, she's got her paw up. Wait, no, she's put her paw back down. Here we are then. You gonna say please? You gonna say please? You gonna say please? Good girl. There you go. Yeah, see the tail's up now, it's wagging. Well, it was wagging. So anyway, KT185 tumbler, and as I say, basically it's the magnets drag the stainless steel pins around, and they sort of bash into the parts. Now, there's a few things. If I want to do, I'm going to put the camera on its stand, and then we can look at this and we'll talk about what we're going to do with it. Right, so a couple of things I've learnt. If you put too much water in there, it tends to the parts tend to get picked up in the water flow, and they get dragged around and smash into each other. And when you've got your sort of smaller, you know, more delicate parts like these, where's the camera? You've got your smaller, more delicate parts like these on the, you know, on the sprue, as it were. I worry that they're going to get knocked about and smashed. You can see here you've got some tiny little fittings here. You know, and you're going to get those knocked about and smashed off each other. So if you put too much water in there, everything swirls around. If you put too little water in there, the pins fly out. Ask me how I know. If you put too little water in there, it's like a bloody nail gun. It just fires these pins out everywhere. So what I found is the sweet spot is to have the water around about the level of that central dome. We've got that dome in the centre there, you can see here. If I have the water around that level there, and then it doesn't seem to sort of pull the parts around or throw the pins out. So this is a box of parts that aren't done yet. You can see they're all fairly small. So I think I'll get away with putting all of these in. So I'm just going to put all of those in there. Okay. Now, if you watch Model Car Tube, you'll see he puts, or Car Modelling Tube, sorry. You'll see he puts everything in. But I don't think he actually leaves it all in, because the thing is, if you put everything in there and it's sort of filled up to half the height, I don't see how it's going to physically move the parts around. I also think his pins are bigger than mine. These are tiny. These are what came with it, and they're like 0.1. I think they're absolutely tiny. If I get a couple on my finger, there we go. You can see how, if I hold that up to the camera, you'll see just how tiny they are if the camera will focus. They are absolutely tiny. I think they're about 0.2 diameter. So then that goes onto the tumbler. So I'll move the camera and we'll get that on the tumbler. Okay, so we can put these on there now, and you'll hear as it goes down, the magnets have sort of pulled it down through the stainless steel. So basically, all we do now, if I pick up the camera again, we use the controls. And basically on the right hand side here we've got a knob which is a timer, so we can turn that down to 30 minutes, okay, and then the power light comes on. You can hear it's got a fan in it which keeps it cool and everything. It's amazing actually how hot the water gets up here through all the friction. It's quite incredible, it gets quite warm. So basically you've got a power light, and then down here we've got, they're not related to these symbols here, these are just features of the machine. We've got, this one is turning clockwise, I believe, this one's anti-clockwise, and this one is waiting. So if you press the button up in the number 1 position, you just get literally 1 rotation. If you go into the 2 position, it does sort of a few minutes, I don't know, 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other way, but in between it sort of stops to let the motor have a rest, I guess. But that's what I'm going to go for number 2. So pull that down like that. If we go up in here, you can see what's happening. All of the stainless steel pins are getting pulled around, and the parts aren't really moving very much at all. So what's happening is, you can see the stainless steel pins on the outside here, rushing around the parts. You can see them all on the inside, and it's going to slowly, surely move those parts around. And you can see already the water is darkening in colour. It's not aggressive. You can see I put my finger in there. It doesn't hurt at all. I've had parts in here for an hour just to test, and it's absolutely fine. And you know, parts like this, remember this is a hose that goes around the engine, and this part was actually broken in the box, so that's probably going to break. But nothing else has been damaged at all. So you can see I've got some over here in the dome. I've got these, you know, this part here, as you can see, it's lovely and polished. It's not bent or damaged or anything. It's really, really nice. And we've got some very, very small parts in there. So that's on 30 minutes. As I said, it's on the 30 down here. So what we'll do is I'll leave that running, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looked like in 30 minutes. Right, so after 30 minutes we can have a look inside, and we can see the motor's all black and we can see that if we get some parts out, then we have fairly shiny, but could do with some more. So I'm going to give them another 30 minutes. But you can see how gentle it is. I mean, this thing here, this is the front splitter, and this is so, I mean, I could bend this in half easily. It's very, very fragile, but it doesn't bend it at all. It's, you know, it's very, very gentle, very, very good little tool. In fact, yesterday my mother came round and we tried, I told her to bring some old jewellery, and she had a couple of old rings that, you know, like, they had stones in them, so on the inside they had like a recess for each stone, and this thing actually cleaned them beautifully. It came out really sparkling, and I looked at the instructions because of the stones, and it actually said it's fine with like rubies, diamonds, everything. So really, really good. So I think we'll give it another 30 minutes. The timer there, wait for 30 minutes. There we are. So just that actually doing its thing. Right, so there we go, another 30 minutes. So we'll see how it looks. Wow, blimey, that water, I can hardly keep my fingers in it. Excuse me, it must be as hot as a cup of tea. Jesus. So very hot. So what I'll do now is get it off, and I'm going to get it into the sink, and we'll drain off that dirty water, and then we'll replace it with some clean, and just give them a quick whiz round just to give them a clean off, because I have noticed that the black, need to put the plug in case any small parts fall out. I've noticed that the blackness of the sort of stain, and there we go, be careful of that. So we'll get some clean water in there, get a swing around, do the same again. There we go. So get some water in there. Just give them a quick blast around. And just to show you how gentle this thing is, this is that piece. It's actually, if you look about very revealed, you can see that it's snapped on that joint. It hasn't even broken it. So, you know, see here we've got very fine little parts that are here sticking out, all polished up, and nothing is damaged, bent or broken. So it is very, very gentle, very, very good little machine. There we go, so that's them had a quick clean, so we can give them a drain off. And then all I will do now is pick the parts out and then just sort of get the little bits, because you can see down in here we've got this very fine stainless steel pins. Well, they want to stick to your finger, so the best way to get rid of them is to put it back on the tool and then just put your fingers in the bowl, and the magnet will pull everything off your fingers. That's the best way I've found. If you try and wash them off, it just gets suspended in water. So I'll get these parts out and then we'll have a look at them. Okay, so as you can see, the bowl is empty now, and all the parts, these are the last parts I did, they're all in there. You can see nice and shiny, the camera will focus. So yeah, all good. So terrible light in here, actually, it's really dark. Let's put a light on. There we go. Maybe that'll be better. Where are we? Here we are. You can see how nice and shiny. There's a valve cover there. So yeah, you can see. Nice, because as I said, I'll put some photographs up with a bit of music at the end. So they're all done. I'm going to leave them there to dry off. As you can see, I've got all the magnets out. I've got this tool, which is basically a magnet. This tool, which is basically a magnet on a stick. You can get the ones with, like, you pull the trigger and it lets everything drop off. But I'm not sure if it will work with this, because these pins are so tiny. I don't think the gravity would pull them off. I think the liquid would keep them stuck to the face. But they are quite good. You can get them like a gun, or you can get ones with like a plunger. You just pull them. And basically all it is a magnet inside a tube. And obviously the magnet, when it's at the bottom, it's an enclosed tube. whereas at the bottom of the tube it picks everything up, and then what you do is you pull the magnet away from the end of the tube and everything falls off. But I don't think that'll work. I could just go around the sink and pick up any bits and pieces that may have come out, you know, and you're going to lose a few. They're so bloody small, it's inevitable. Don't put the magnet in the tool, in the barrel, because obviously what will happen then is you will kill this magnet, because that one's stronger. But if you can listen, you see I've got some bits and pieces, I've got some bits of these stainless steel stuck to my fingers here, as you can see. Yeah. So the best way to get them off is don't try and wash them off or pull them off. Just put your hand in the bowl, listen. And they all get pulled off. And then your hands are clean. So that's what I do. So now what I'm going to do is put these back in here. And I'm just going to run them in case there's any small parts, because as we know with this Lancia 037 there are lots of tiny little nuts and bolts and things that may well be still in this, stuck in these bits of stainless steel. And if that's the case, then what we do is put some water in here, and it should centrifuge them out to the outside, and then we should find them. So let's see if that works. We shall see. Making pretty patterns on this magnet now. We go, just lay that out sort of evenly. Try and get these bits off of here. As I said, I don't want to put this tool in this drum because it will basically kill the magnet. So there we are. Fingers in there. Just grab some water. Put the water in there. A bit more. There we go. And I'm going to add a tiny drop, just one drop of fairy liquid, just to give the bowl a bit of a clean. Okay, so now we can just go on. Now you can see what's happening, it's swirling around, and obviously the soap is making bubbles. Just going to give it a bit of a clean. Got some dirt all around the outsides here, we can just get rid of all that. And then we're ready for the next lot, which in my case is a Lancia Group 5 Monte Carlo, so that should be fun. See what's happened there, it's going to centrifuge it all out. That's because I splashed it up, I think. So two things. I wouldn't leave this unattended for that very reason. That's happened twice now. It gets itself into a rhythm and throws it out, especially with the soap in there. I'm glad that happened actually on camera. And the other thing is, when you do run it, if you're going to run it without the lid on, I would seriously recommend safety glasses. Although these things are tiny and they're not going to have enough inertia to stick into your skin or stick into your eye, the problem is if one goes on your eye and then you rub it, you can imagine what's going to happen. Don't want to even think about the consequences. So anyway, there we go. So you can see that it's going to do it once again. All the soap is picking it up. So what we can do now is just take it off and empty most of that out, just like so. Careful not to lose any of your stainless steel. And then we can just put some water in there up to our usual place. Pop that back on, put the lid on. And that should help to give it a clean. So what we should be able to do is stop it. What I need to do is get rid of, I should have checked for the parts before I put the soap in, because it's made everything go frothy. I just want to see if I've got any small parts in there. And any bits of the stainless steel that did come out, we can pick up with a magnet afterwards. From the sink, I mean. Okay, so that should be a lot better then. Put that on. And we can have a look. And sure enough, I haven't set this up, but I'll bring the camera over. You can see there is a part. There is a part there that got trapped in between all the filings with the bits and pieces when I pulled them out with a magnet. So there we go. If there's any more going to come out. Can't see anything there, but if we do have any parts missing, because we've already checked, if we do have any parts missing, we know where they are. As I said, I can't see anything else getting centrifuged out. And there we go. That's it. Job done. The other thing I noticed is some of the parts seem to come out in a different colour. Now if you look at this centre console part here and compare the colour of that to that part there, it's much more dull, as are the roll cage tubes. See the roll cage tubes? They're dull. So I can only assume, I'm hoping Steve Clark will comment here because he seems to know his stuff because he's into his white metal figures. But I can only assume that this is white metal perhaps and this is pewter. Let me know, Steve, because these are quite dark as well. Maybe it's just different batches of material that the factory have around. I don't know if it's recycled old crap or what it is. But basically, yeah, I mean, some parts are really bright and some parts are really dark. Like, look at that there. That's really, really shiny. And when you compare that to that roll cage tube, you can see the massive difference in colour. Just one more thing before we go, guys. Just discovered something, another little trick. Drain all the water out so it's practically dry in there. Make sure you put the lid on. Don't do this without the lid on. Okay, switch it on and run it with no water in there. Okay, turn it off and look down there. You can see a very small white metal part, and it's dropped off my finger. Where did it go? So I've dropped it back in there. So what I'll do is I'll run it again. Go on. Off. And there it is, it's over there, look now. You can see it's over there, so what we'll do is we'll pull those bits of stainless steel out of the way. There it is there. Come here, I wish I had fingernails. Got it there. I want to make sure I don't bring out any stainless steel with it. There we are, it's a tiny, where's the bloody camera? Here we are. It's a tiny little Goodridge Union. It's obviously come off a sprue. So there we are. So, you know, the tiniest and tiniest of parts. We can look around and see if there's anything else in there. Can't see anything. We'll just give it one more run. So if you run it with no water, then it really does fling anything out. So it's not magnetic, it's just going to centrifuge it out. As I say, don't do this without the cover on. You can see it all flicking up and hitting the top. And it goes everywhere. Here, I see them all in the lid there, look. They go everywhere. Ask me how I know. Oh look, there's another part over there, look. Or is that just a, no, it's just a stack of magnetic bits. So yeah, worth really giving it a really good check. And there we go. That's all the parts, all done, all rumbled. And now they're sitting there, and you can see that as I've moved back, they've got wetter and wetter because they were at the bottom of the drum. So, or the bottom of the box. So you can see in here, we've got some of the stainless steel little bits and pieces in there that can go back to the tank. So yeah, all done, all lovely, all nice and shiny. As I say, very differences of level of shine. If you look at this piece here, you can see that is, you know, very shiny indeed. And then you look at the as I said before, the centre console is hard, the centre tunnel is hardly shiny at all. And also like these parts, the shock parts, and these parts here, it's weird. If you know what that is, please let me know in the comments, because I'd be interested to know. So there we go. That is all the metal parts. I think I gave you a number, didn't I, before? It was about 460 odd parts. But that is all the parts there. And you can see up here, we've got our tiny little sprues, as you like, sprues with our nuts and bolts on and everything. You can see there the tiny little bolts. Everything on there. So there we are. So freeze frame, have a look, feast your eyes. It's quite a little project. I mean, it's a £500 kit, but when you think of all the work and all the enjoyment you're gonna have putting it together, and then you've got, at the end of the day, there is no other 12 scale Lancia 037. Having said that, now that I've bought this one, Tamiya or some other amazing model company will launch one and it'll be better than this for £100. No, that's not going to happen. I was kind of hoping that the Delta Integrale from Italeri was going to be kind of the start of things, but having seen the quality of the Integrale, I think they need to just walk away from 12 scale cars, because they're when you consider that kit is nearly half the cost of this one, you know what I mean? It's not in the same league. It's just not in the same ballpark. So, but then having said that, a 15-year-old lad could stick that kit together, no problem at all. An inexperienced modeler wouldn't know where to start with this. This is going to take a lot of work, guys. Lots of drilling. Somebody's already told me in the comments that apparently, you've got to do a lot of drilling. I saw I can't remember who it was now. Was it Defender John? Did a build of one of the cars, an Alpha or something, and they said that just in the engine bay alone, just building the engine, was something like 150 holes had to be drilled. So, they give you indentations where the holes have to go, like here. You can see there's indentations on this part here, all over, and I think that's where it's got to be drilled. But they don't actually put the holes in, obviously, because the molds don't allow it, or they would, the pins on the molds would break off easily. So there we go. That's it. So I'm really looking forward to this. Whether I do a video build of it or not, I don't know, because I tend to with the cars just pop in and out. So we shall see. But I thought I'd let you see this, let you see my rumbling process, because you asked for it, and then also because I've got to do this to let them all the parts dry. Then there we go. And then the next stage now is to get them all sorted into my boxes with their bits and pieces. Is that my mum texting? Yep. Every time I do a video, my mum texts. Isn't it crazy? So yeah, get them all into a box now in their numbered stages. So like all the parts from stage 1 go into section 1, all the parts from stage 2 go to section 2, and that way it's easier to keep up with things. And also then we've also got like seams, we've got mould seams along parts to deal with, although they're not so bad at all. I think what I'll do is stage by stage deal with the mould seams, and then once I've dealt with the mould seams, put them back in the rumbler, and then that'll just polish out any sanding marks or anything. We go from there. But I think that rumbler has taken away a lot of where there were any seams to deal with. It's certainly softened them. There's hardly anything there now, so which I guess is worse, because you might miss some. But anyway, I'm waffled enough. Thanks for watching, guys. As I say, I've got some pictures coming now, and we'll go from there. And like I say, any questions, anything you want to know, anything you already know that you want to tell me, stick it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.